part 2 of the Pisces full moon for the 6th of March 2015. Yes. Well, within this chart, Saturn sits in Sagittarius in what I would call free-floating anxiety within its square to Neptune. Now, this Saturn-Neptune square, this free-floating anxiety, we can all feel it. It's like being surrounded by a mist, maybe a mist of doubt or a mist of fear, a mist of anxiety, a mist of inertia. It's there in the ethers. It represents pollution on the lower astral, that is emotional plane, which makes it hard to feel clarity. It's almost like being in a room with a whole lot of chain smokers, and after a while you just can't breathe and you're suffocating and you want to rush out into the clean air. If your consciousness is oriented or is in the process of orientating and is willing to love, and if you are metaphorically like the sunflower turning towards the sun, then the pall, the fog, the anxiety, the fear that is polluting the astral plane, you'll feel it swirling around you. It takes a lot to rise above it. It takes a lot because we're living in the midst of the great change and there's a lot of fear and anxiety all around us. Unfortunately, many of the politicians and many of the leaders of our nation are attempting to control and lead through fear and anxiety, to control us, humanity, through this fear and anxiety which is permeating the astral plane like so much dense, clogging cigarette smoke. And so this free-floating anxiety. Now, the solution to this is to lift up above the lower astral plane, to lift up above it to where the air is clear, where the clear note of hope can be heard. And you can do this through meditation. You can do it by aligning with like-minded people. You can do it by refusing to buy into fear-based politics. You can do it by turning your back on free-floating anxiety and trusting your heart. If we all do this, then the anxiety, which is actually just a figment of our collective imagination, the fear and anxiety, it would of necessity dissipate. It's an illusion. It's only being held in place because a large amount of people on the planet believe it and are invested in living their lives that way, and they have their focus, therefore, on the lower astral plane. So, we have a responsibility on behalf of all those who seek a better world to rise above it, through faith, kind deeds, unselfish service, through dance, through joy, through sharing, time with children, time in nature, through meditation, in all the ways that you know how to do it. Rise above it, rise above it, rise above it. It is an interesting chart because it's very polarised. There are 4 planets in Pisces, that's Neptune, the Sun, Chiron and Vulcan, and 3 planets in Aries, Venus, Mars and Uranus. Within the chart there's an interesting pattern called a double yod. Now a double yod, it's like a double yod. Double yod's like trapeze artists. If you've ever watched trapeze artists, then you realise that they have incredible precision. You know, one of them swings and they have to get the swing just right, and then the other one begins to swing and they move in their own rhythms, and eventually their timing becomes just right and the trapeze artist is able to make the crossing safely without the fall. Now, the specific timing of the swinging of the trapezes in order to make the successful crossing from fear to love, from fear to love, from fear to love, from fear to love, that is what is indicated in the double yod. The double yod involves Jupiter, which holds the energy of joy and the consciousness of the heart. And when the will to love and the energy of Earth's child is accessed, then we can rest ourselves free with the help of the strengthened Sun in Pisces and the redemptive, releasing energy of Pluto in Capricorn. And we can move beyond what is broken and not working in our lives, beyond the old structures towards collective unity. Now, one of the yods involves Jupiter in Leo, with an opposition across to Mercury in Aquarius. And in this Australian chart, Mercury sits conjunct the Aquarian ascendant, yes. And so the purpose of this particular yod is to liberate joy. And then for the group to begin to become the container to hold joy and to hold wisdom. A collective holding of joy and a collective holding of wisdom is required. Collectively, we can do what as individuals we struggle to do. As individuals, our power is limited. Through the collective heart, the one heart, our power to love is unsurpassed. It's the energy of one of the yods. The other yod. Now where is the other yod? Yes, the other yod, it involves movement from the Sun in Pisces across to Jupiter in Leo, and it resolves through the North Node in Libra. Now while the first yod talks about the collective effort of the group, bringing in collective insight and clarity and clear thinking, and beginning to move and live through what I'd call Buddhic principles of relating. The second yod, it involves finding our partners and co-workers. Who are the people that we can best work with? Who are the people with whom we can stand shoulder to shoulder? Who are the people in our lives who lift us out of our own darkness? Who are the people who we help when they fall into doubt and despair? The second yod encourages us to strengthen our relationships with these key peoples in our lives. We are not islands unto ourselves. We are not islands. And so together, when the two yods function, then metaphorically we have two trapeze artists who separately and together move beyond fear to community heart. And they move beyond independent isolation into united action with partners and co-workers. We can all do this. We all have access to a group and we all have access to key people in our lives. It's up to us to align. Could be through your local choir, through your local bushwalking group, through your mother's group. Could be any group at all where when you're connected to those people you feel alive and you feel a greater capacity for creative joy than you can access individually. Orient to that group and to those individuals. And we all have the potential and capacity to form enduring, balanced, nurturing relationships where we are loved and supported and where we love and support. This is our innate, inalienable human right. We are hardwired for loving relationships. It's built into our DNA. And that's why we keep trying and trying and trying. We don't always get it right. We fail, we have our histories, but we're hardwired to persist. And so the message of the second yod is to persist with our loving partners, persist with our loving co-workers. Lift them, they lift us. It is a mutual endeavour. Yes, there's a bit of food for thought in this Pisces full moon. Like all full moons, even though the exact full moon is 6 minutes past 5 Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and you can convert that to wherever you are on the planet to find about when it's full moon in your area, technically speaking, it's a 5-day window where we have access to light, the light of our soul and divine light. And through this window we can enact the challenges and opportunities I've spoken about. And the time frame is 2.5 days before the exact full moon and 2.5 days after the exact full moon. And in the 2.5 days leading up to the full moon, as the moon is waxing, the energy builds. And the exact moment of full moon is potent for connection and for healing, personal healing. And the 2.5 days afterwards, as the energy wanes, think of it as the creative building process where we anchor, we download the impulse, we download the new energy, and we create something beautiful together through our group meditation, our group work, our work for the earth. Together we work for the disempowered, for those who are being harmed. We work to unite the feminine and the masculine in sacredness. Our work is to bring forth joy and to birth greater love in our relationships, our homes, our families, our communities, every aspect of our lives. The full moon's a very, very potent time to do as much as we can individually and collectively as we can to progress the growing of light. This is our task, the growing of light on earth. And in the midst of darkness and despair and the free-floating anxiety and the manipulative politics, and in the midst of the loss of hope and in the midst of the collapsing structures and the persecutions, we persist. In the midst of all that, we rise above. And in the midst of all that, we support each other. And in the midst of all that, we celebrate life and we celebrate love. We celebrate the birthing of consciousness, millimetre by millimetre, centimetre by centimetre, for however long it takes. However long it takes until the time comes when Earth has birthed greater consciousness. So this is our task, to live in light and find heaven on earth. It's been lovely to connect with you this month through this fabulous medium. Let's work together for the earth during this full moon in Pisces. I'll be with you in spirit during this time in meditation. Love always. And of course, if you'd like to get in touch, leave your comments. Could be on my Facebook page, Star Astrology Healing. On my website page, Star Astrology Healing, or my Facebook page, Soul-Centered Astrology and Spiritual Healing. Stay in touch during this full moon period and during the month. If you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, you'll find my contact details on your website. Bye for now.